All right, you guys, welcome to our Tuesday night Zoom class. Tonight, I'm really happy to be able to share with you guys some of the recipes and protocols and ways that I've been able to personally use essential oils for my allergies or seasonal threats, that itchy eye, runny nose, all of those things. So I first got to start with what brought me to doTERRA, and that was debilitating allergies that would put me into bed about 3 or 4 days in a row, at least 2 or 3 times a month. And it was really crazy the way that I could just go outside and there was no rhyme or reason to when I would have these attacks. What would happen is my face would start to tingle around my cheeks. And then within about 5 minutes, I would be completely swollen to where you couldn't see the bridge of my nose. And and I was super puffy. My eyes were completely swollen shut. And people around me were like, "What has happened?" And when I would go to doctors, to find out what's going on, they didn't believe me how bad it was. And I looked tonight for a photograph of one of the times. It's like I could barely get my eyes with this little sliver open to be able to take a picture of how quickly and how horrible it was. As a matter of fact, my husband used to make fun of me of looking like a cat because I had this little button nose instead of an actual nose. And so I was scared, you guys. It got to the point where, I was having these breakouts or these attacks, once or twice a year. Then it was every month. And then pretty soon it was multiple times during a week. And I could be in a meeting. There was no, it's like I could be at a meeting. I could be at home. I could be watching a movie. And all of a sudden this tingling would happen and I'd have this horrible reaction. Well, personally, I knew that it was something more than just allergic to my dog or something. So I started the journey of going to different doctors, and I had gone to, a allergy doctor, a specialist where they did all the pricks on your back, and out of 78 different local things, I was allergic to 38 of them and highly allergic, one of them being sagebrush. And I live in northeastern Nevada where our state flower, I swear, is sagebrush because it's everywhere. I was also highly allergic to trees and grass, and at the time we were living on the golf course. So, as things were changing, but I knew it was deeper than that. Because I would stand for hours sometimes just going up and down the aisles, looking at allergy medications for night, for day, for, this or for that, and, sniffles, and then, feeling like my head was tingling and all these effects that were happening. I was super desperate. And I remember going to the doctor and signing papers saying that I was going to get this shot and that I wouldn't go anywhere else or I wouldn't have another one of those shots for an entire year. Well, you guys, for me, that was a huge red flag. It's like, what's in that shot that could last for an entire year in my system? And so anyway, I did the first shot and I was on a quest to find something that would be better for me and easier on my body. So meanwhile, I had a friend who was extremely sick, and when I went to visit her, she's like, I walk in her room, and there's this big bag with all these essential oils. And you guys, I'm not kidding you when I say I wanted to jump into the bag and see. I'm like, what is it? Tell me more about it. And she said, don't be mad at me, but I've been using this for another life-threatening illness that she was dealing with. And I'm like, okay, so she had this great big book, which I'm going to reference to tonight. And she said, here, just take the book, look things up. And, I was raised with herbs and with a lot of natural medicine. I'm grateful that I was raised in a time when most of our food was prepared straight from the garden, and we grew a lot of our own produce and eggs and dairy and beef and all that kind of stuff. So fast forward it to now, or to my allergies, and going to the doctors. I knew some of it had to be emotional because I would have these, I was carrying a lot of stuff, and over the years, I'm sure some of you guys can relate to, just shoving it down and, oh, I'm okay, shoving it down, oh, I'm okay, and having pretty soon my body. And if I want you guys to envision a big glass. And if you're just shoving all of those emotions down over and over and over from the time we're little, well, then as we're adults, pretty soon that cup is completely full. And it's full of not only toxic chemicals from, lotions and shampoos and conditioners and dryer sheets and, walking down the street to the exhaust on vehicles, but it's also full of emotional baggage. And all of our emotions and all of the things that we absorb into our body stores in our cells. And if we aren't really good at detoxing and cleansing and getting rid of some of those things, then our body will have a really quick reaction when it's exposed to something just little. So there were plenty of times when I would go to the department store and, walk through the mall where all of those, perfumes and scents. And I remember wanting, the sprays that you would spray in your house and on your linens and making sure that the floor smelled good and when we vacuumed and adding in all of these different synthetic chemicals and things. Little did I know it was having a huge impact on adding more things to that cup. Well, my cup was full. So the littlest thing, so like I'm telling you, when I'm sitting in a meeting and there's no grass, no dogs, no sagebrush, and yet somebody, I would be in a heated conversation or I'd have a topic that was very touchy to me, I would have that tingling and instantly I would have this huge reaction and my body would take over and it would shut me down. Well, you guys, this is super scary for me. And so, after going to a bunch of different doctors, I went to emotional doctors, I went to the eye doctor. He gave me eye drops that I was able to put into my eyes that numbed them completely so I couldn't feel them. And I'm thinking, well, that's not solving anything. It may make it so I don't want to itch them, but it's not helping solve that they were swelling or that they were itchy. I went to the allergy doctor, like I said, and found out what it was that was triggering my histamines in my body to make my body react so quickly. I went to emotional doctors and they're like, well, let's give you this pill and we want you to just take it. Take it every single day. Take it in the morning, take it at night, and it's just going to calm your nerves down so you don't have any of these, things happen. And I used those pills. I took the shot. I was using the eye drops. And finally, about 2 weeks in, I'm going, this is not what I want. There's got to be a solution to where these effects in my body, I can actually stop them instead of just putting a Band-Aid or covering them up. So that's about the time I went to my friend's house and I, wanted to jump in the bag. And I started looking up things for allergies. And, it was lemon, lavender, and peppermint. And I remember the first time I used it going, woo, that was pretty potent. Like that opened up my airways right away. And, I did things like I would just tap the top of the bottle and kind of tap it around the outside of my eye. And what I noticed is I would have a quicker reaction to the essential oils than I would with any kind of allergy medication or the shots and things that I'd had. So when I would take a pill, when I would have this flare up, I would usually take about 3-4 Benadryl at a time. And you guys, no wonder I was in bed for a couple of days, right? Because Benadryl is something that a lot of times they will use to help people sleep. Well, I didn't want to sleep. I run a business. I'm a full-time business owner, and I had little kids at the time. And so I really didn't have the ability to sit and have that. So I knew that I wanted something different. So now I'm going to just kind of share with you guys. I'm going to take you on a little journey of some of the amazing things that I've been able to discover with doTERRA. And the first thing I want you guys to see this is we can use doTERRA products, aromatic, topical, and internal. And some of you guys might be wondering, like, why is that even important? Like, why? Well, one thing is that when you look at the side of any essential oil bottle, you might look at the side and it says 100% pure. But you guys, if there are things that they list off like cautions, like don't put it on your skin, don't take it internal, avoid certain things, and you know that it's not 100% pure. In order for an essential oil to be labeled that, it only has to have 6% of the pure essential oil in the bottle, and the rest can be anything. Well, what if, and they don't regulate it, so what if they're putting other chemicals or other things that are not naturally made, synthetic things, and that could be part of what we're having a reaction to. So as we're talking about, being able to use them aromatically, you guys, so this is one of my favorite things, especially if I am having, like, say your nose is really stuffed up and or your chest is really, you've got mucus and stuff all over. By just taking a couple of drops, putting it into your hands and breathing it in, it can give you instant relief. Now, when I told you I was taking 3 or 4 Benadryl at a time, you guys, it would take at least, I'm going to say 20, 30 minutes for it to start having an effect on me. Well, what if my eyes had completely swollen shut, and what if my throat had swollen shut? I'm in trouble. And I carried an EpiPen for a really long time, but the problem is when I would need to use them, it was expired. So I had a really difficult time just kind of navigating how can I support my body with natural remedies to get a good result that would actually maybe go deeper into the root and be able to get rid of some of this stuff. Okay, so aromatically, you can just smell it, you can diffuse it, you can wear it on your jewelry, you can just have it around you. Now, putting it on topical. So why this was so important, especially with what I was dealing with, is because when my eyes would start to swell, I was able to open up that bottle and just tap the top of it, and I would tap around the outside of my eyes. That would help and stop the swelling and the itching. So in a lot of cases, you guys, then I would put a cold, wet washcloth over the top, and I learned how to do different things to stop it in its tracks. I was also able to target different areas. So if I felt like, something was going on with my throat or my chest, or maybe my nose was running a lot, then I was able to just put it underneath my nose, and I would get a really quick relief. Now, the internal part, you guys, this one is probably one of the ones that I love the very, very most for all of the symptoms I've been talking about, and that is because I could put essential oils right under my tongue. And by placing them under my tongue, I'm getting it into my bloodstream right now. I don't have to wait for something to dissolve. I don't have to, do all these other fancy things. I can just do it right there, right then. Now, you can also, and I'm going to talk about in the presentation a little bit, different ways that we can use them internal. But you guys, it's so quick. It's instant. I've had many cases when I have had, somebody I've been working with, or maybe I've just been in an event. I'll never forget being crossing the street one time, looking across the street and seeing a little boy on the ground, and he had been hit by something. I think a bicycle came by and whacked him, and he panicked, he fell, he hit his head, he was not breathing very good, and we were able to take an essential oil, put it in our hands, cup it over his face, and he was able to calm down and start breathing. Now, I never touched him, right, because I don't want to get it on him without permission or anything else, but I know what happened. And if you are familiar with oils, gosh, you take the mint oils especially, and it's like, oh, there it is, and it helps us to open up those airways. And it's not by mistake, it's by natural remedy that it does that. Okay. There's a couple of things that we want to avoid when we're using our essential oils. So you never want to put them directly in your ears, in your eyes, or up your nose. Now, you heard me talk when I was tapping the top of the bottle. I'm tapping around the outside of my eye socket, around the whole area. If there's something going on with my nose, I'm going around, especially the top, the base of the nose and the bridge of the nose. That's the best ways to get it into that area and get it to start working. Now, anytime we're working with ears, we're going on the outside of the ear. If you ever hear me or anyone else that is in our team as educators talk about putting oils in the ear, it's usually on a cotton ball. We put the oil on the cotton ball, and then we tuck it into the ear, and then we might, either hold it there, put a heating pad over the top, or in some cases like a little piece of tape or something, so that the essential oil vapor can get into the ear canal and do its work. I also want to remind you guys that less is better. You'll hear us say, my husband's a great example of, gosh, if 1 drop is good, maybe 10 or 15 is going to be even better. You guys, you're going to get the same effect from 1 or 2 drops as you would for, 10 or 15 drops. Now, if you're taking a hot soak like I love to do, and I'm putting, 8 drops in my bath water, well, that's okay. There's no harm, no foul. But especially with little kids, or if you're trying to figure out how something is working. So back to, when my eyes were swelling and I had, all of this stuff going on, I would add just a tap of the top of the bottle, tap it around my eyes, and I would wait for about 10 minutes, and then I could reapply more to get even more relief. Some of the oils are hot. And and we're going to talk about thyme tonight. We're going to talk about some other oils that are hot to the touch. So think of like a jalapeno hot. Cinnamon is hot, oregano, thyme. Now these are all essential oils that we're able to use, and they are very, very effective, but we want to dilute them with our coconut oil. Now the next part is dilution. So we have fractionated coconut oil, which I love because it's a very thin carrier oil. They spin it, so they take the fat and the scent out, so there's no scent, and because they take that fat out, it will not go rancid. So a lot of times when we're making our roller bottles, or we're making recipes or remedies, or protocols, and we want to store them, I always use fractionated coconut oil because of those safety. Now we also have an unscented lotion, and now we have our new castor oil, all of which could be a carrier oil depending on what it is that you're wanting to achieve. Now, photosensitivity, you guys, anytime you have a citrus oil, you're going to want to just remember that citrus oils kind of look like this, and if you cut an orange in half or a lemon in half, you hold it up, you have that pit in the middle, and then you have the little wedges that kind of look like a sun. And so anytime you have a citrus oil, you want to avoid wearing it topical on your skin unless you're covered when the sun shines, because it could make your skin photosensitive and it could cause you to burn. Okay, now we've got the safety out. We're going to talk about, first of all, the top 3 essential oils that people reach for anytime their family or somebody that they know has some kind of sniffles, itchy eyes, scratchy throat, those seasonal things. And it can be caused from, the pollen in the air. It could be caused from animals and their dander. It could be all kinds of different things. So peppermint, why I love peppermint is it is known as, well, it's from the mint family, so it helps to open up the airways. It also has a really nice cooling effect. And if you're having some kind of a panic, or, when my eyes used to swell up all the time, it would get warm and to the touch to my face. And so I love the peppermint because it's really cooling. You'll also know that when we are having allergies or some kind of a reaction, our body is basically saying something is really unhappy. And usually it's your digestive system, which we're going to dig into in just a minute. So peppermint is really great, very calming for your digestive system. Now we have lemon pictured here. So lemon is probably, well, these are at least the top 3 essential oils. I'm going to give you more in just a minute. But what I love about lemon is it's a natural expectorant. So that helps to get rid of some of the phlegm and some of the things that are built up in our cells. So if you have a chest, or maybe your lymphatic system, you have mucus, you have all this kind of stuff there, it helps to break that down and helps it to be able to drain out of your body and get out. So one of the things that I love to do with lemon is I'll just put a couple of drops of it in some warm water. I'll usually flavor it a little bit with some local honey. Now, there's a reason I use local honey or Manuka versus just something that's on the store shelf. If you guys are label readers like I am, the next time you go out to eat and it has a honey packet, turn it over and see what it actually is, and see if you even see honey listed on the label, because chances are you're not going to see that. You might see honey flavor or honey color, but most likely it's a corn syrup or something like that. So it really is important. So I love first thing in the morning every day, I take a big glass of water, add 2 or 3 drops of lemon to it, I stir it up, and I drink it before anything else hits my palate. And I do that because I want to help to clean out my receptor sites, the cells in my body, and if there's any kind of, drainage that needs to happen, it definitely does. Okay, now the next one here is lavender. You guys, lavender is probably the most used essential oil around the world. It is a natural antihistamine. People use it for burns. They use it for swelling. They use it for so many different things. Between peppermint and lavender and lemon, I know that there is at least 100 different ways and reasons that you can use this combination. Now, years ago, when I got started with doTERRA, they didn't have Tri-Ease. Now, Tri-Ease is shown here on the right-hand side. What they've done is they've put 2 drops of each one of those essential oils into a gel cap. And so it's easy, ready to go. One thing that I like to do, especially if I'm having some kind of a allergic reaction, or all of a sudden I'm feeling like I'm getting all stuffed up, or my eyes are getting weird, I will take one of those capsules, I put it in my mouth, and I pop it. Now, you guys, this is quite intense, but it gives me instant relief. And you guys, I can't tell you anybody who's going to say, oh, I'd rather swallow it because it tastes a little bit strong. So, the first time somebody does it, they're like, oh, wow. But there's a lot of people now who I've taught who are going, you know what? It helps, and it helps right now. So it's something that they do. Now, if I know that it's that time of year when the flowers are budding and the trees are budding and you've got grass all over the place, and the wind is blowing a lot, and the chances are I'm going to go to bed at night, and I might wake up in the middle of the night stuffy or with a runny nose or something. What I'll do is I'll take one of the Tri-E's before I go to bed at night, and then I'll also take one and I'll pop it in my mouth, because I want to be able to go to sleep with my airways open and breathing freely and having that full support. And then if I wake up in the morning, you guys, so what I love about these products is you can use whichever method you want, whichever one's going to be easiest, and keep them around, keep them ready for you. Now back to the lemon, lavender, and peppermint, that is the essential oil bottles. Now the ones that are shown are 15 ml bottles, so there's 250 drops in each one. If you're using 1 drop of each, that's a lot of uses. Now, I also will use them on my pets. I have dogs. We love our dogs. And, right now, this time of year, especially with all the wind and all the, he's out in the plants and running through the yard and everything. And he'll come in and he's got little crusties in his eyes. So I'll just take a little tiny, I'll just touch the top of the bottle. I'll add some coconut oil to my hands, and then I'll just go down his little cheeks, and I want to make sure that it's just a little, because I want to help to support him, but I don't want to irritate him. And so it's really great. And you can also use this same technique on little kids. Don't be afraid to use these, but I'm going to really caution you, don't get too close to the eyes. People get, going in a hurry, and they'll get too close. And if for some reason any of these oils get into the eye, you're going to be okay. You don't need to call poison control or anything else, but you will want to take that coconut oil that I was talking about earlier, and you'll just, I'll put it on my hand and I'll just kind of wipe on that area. And what it does is it diffuses out the impact of that really strong oil, and it makes it go away. Okay. Now the next one, okay, anybody relate to this? It's like little kids and itchy eyes and swollen, and it doesn't matter what you're doing or what you tell them. When your eyes itch, you want to do that, and it's like you're out playing, you're talking to your dog, and, it's like I'll rub my, pet him and I'll have all this fun. Then if I touch my eye, this is exactly what happens to my eyes. And so again, the Tri-E's, and if you've got somebody who has a sensitive stomach, so say you use Tri-E's and you find that you're burping up that mint, or you're burping up, lavender or something, make sure you're eating with it. Now, I don't eat with mine because I just don't need to, because I have a pretty clean palate. But if you do, then make sure you can have just a cracker with it or something to help absorb some of that essential oil in the body. Now, I love the Digest Zen Touch. And why this is here is because when you have all that swelling going on, a lot of times you'll feel pressure across your forehead, or a really big pressure across the nose. Anytime you see us have a touch oil, so they're the rollers, and on the side of it, it has the type of oil, and then you'll see right at the top it says touch. That means it's been perfectly diluted for anyone in your household. So better than using a pure essential oil on my pets or on my little grandbabies or little kids, I love having these touch around. So I'll just roll it onto my fingertip, and then I'll just apply it, where it needs to be applied. Now, Digestion is really great for any kind of sinus issues, or that really tightness that is happening right here. And then you can also go across the bridge of the nose. And if your belly is a little upset, because if you had a runny nose or a stuffed up nose, a lot of times it'll drain in the back of your throat down into your belly. So just rub it around your belly button also. Now, tea tree is our anti-oil. So anti-infectious, antibacterial, antifungal, all of those different things. And again, we have it with the touch, so it's already diluted. And then lavender. So being able to roll it around the outside area of the eyes. Again, you can go down the bridge of the nose. You can go underneath the nose. Sometimes I'll just take it and roll it on my finger and rub it underneath my nose. And it, just really is so supportive. I love the tea tree because if you've been exposed to some kind of bug, sometimes people this time of year, they're going, okay, do I have allergies or do I have some kind of an infection? And if you're not really sure, tea tree is a key essential oil to use because it is antifungal, anti-mold, and very effective on other things that you might have been exposed to. All right. Here we go with honey. So I told you I was going to talk about local honey and the importance of it. So what happens, and the reason that local honey is so good for us is because those little bees are out in all the pollen. And when they've got, and if it's a local plant, then that's usually the pollen that we're being exposed to. And when we eat the honey, it helps us to build up our immunity and it's a natural immunity for the pollen. So in a lot of cases, you guys, I'll take, honey, and instead of using any other kind of sweetener, I'll use local honey. Now, we've got 2 recipes that people absolutely love. This last year, we came up with one that we're calling Soothe, where we're adding lemon, lavender, and peppermint to the honey, and we're jarring it up, and people come and buy it in bottles, fancy bottles and whatever. And what they can do then is just up that game by having the support of the essential oils with our local honey, and they can just simply take a teaspoon of it or a half a teaspoon of whatever it is that you want. Again, you can put it in some warm water and just stir it around and sip on it. And what you'll notice is it's going to, from the inside out, this is why I love being able to use the essential oils internally, is because you'll feel that relief coming from the inside, and it's going to open up those airways and help us to just be supported. Now, I did put super mint down on here too, because that is one that you could use instead of peppermint. Okay, so here is our spiced honey recipe. If you guys don't have this yet, make sure you take a screenshot. You guys, we've been making this one for a very, very long time. We sell hundreds of jars of it. And what I love about this one is it's 100% immunity support. We use a local honey, so we've got that extra support with our natural immunity from the pollen. And then when you look at the essential oils here, so if you have say like a lavender or a lemon, and you add a spicy oil with it, like ginger or cassia, clove, it's going to make that first oil work even harder and go even deeper. And so each one of these guys has a benefit for it. Now this is for 1 cup of local honey. You add all of those essential oils to it. What I like to do is I'll take a double boiler, I put the honey in, I get it nice and soft, and then I take it off of the heat and I add the essential oils, stir it up really, really good, and then I'll just put it into a container. You can put these in containers and put them on the go. So if you have, maybe you've got a really great friend who has seasonal threats or allergies or whatever it is, you could put them in smaller containers and give it to them. Or you can also have it, maybe you take one to work with you. Maybe you have one in the kitchen and maybe you have one in your camper. And so really great, very beneficial. All right, so now we're going to go into different ways that you can use our essential oils to really support the different things that happen when you feel all stuffed up. So the picture on the far left side top is a sinus steamer. So you guys, if you've not tried this, if anyone here can relate, when you just feel like, oh my gosh, my head's about ready to explode, I've got to do something to get this stuff out of my face. So what I do is I'll put the essential oils, and when you're picking your essential oils, remember they're extremely potent. So start with less. You can always add more. I put them in the water. It's hot, boiling water. And then you'll see a towel sitting there. And what I do is I'll put the oils in and I'll cover my head, lean over the bowl. And sometimes, you guys, it's like, it's pretty intense. Well, if you can't breathe, your nose is all stuffed up, you won't really notice much. I usually close my eyes when this happens. And then know that when things start to open up, and I'll just sit there as long as I can, breathing as deep as I can, and then I'll come up for air, and then I'll do it again. Usually what happens is the nose starts to drip, and it's dripping into that water. So you'll want to make sure you throw that out. But it's like, it's really cool the way that works. Now also there's a neti pot. Just looking at the neti pot makes my nose just kind of tingle a little bit because it's intense. And when I saw this picture, I'm like, I only do this in the shower. Sorry. And the first time I put essential oils in, it was a little much. So I would recommend starting with your neti pot. I do add a little bit of sea salt to it. It seems to soften it. You can purchase neti pot solution, and then add the essential oil. But I just take a sea salt that's unrefined, nothing's been added to it, nothing's been taken out of it. Put a little pinch of that into the neti pot, and I would start with 1 drop of tea tree and try it and see what happens. You're going to do both sides of your nose. Just like when we're working with ears, you always do both ears. So if you have an earache on one side, you still treat the other side as if it's going to have it, because it goes back and forth. Same thing with your nose. One side may be open a little, the other might be completely closed up, but you're going to want to do both sides. Now, once you've done the tea tree, then you could add a drop of lemon. Then you could add a drop of cilantro. You guys, it's super effective for healthy nasal passage or inside your nose. You should be doing this at least once a month. And if it's, season where, everything is blooming, or maybe, people are passing around viruses and things, you could do it once a week and really, really support your nose. Now, the picture on the right is just somebody putting the oils in their hands and inhaling right from their hands. What you'll notice about this is when you cup your hands over your mouth and your nose, and you're doing these deep breaths in, you're going to feel it really go in. And maybe what happens is you might start coughing a little bit. Your eyes might water a little bit, but what you want those oils to get in there and start working and breaking things up. Some of the most effective essential oils for opening up your airways is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is like the king of anything nose and sinus related. Peppermint, of course, is really strong and very, very effective. And I'm going to talk about another one in just a second because it's kind of intense, but it's one of my favorites. Okay, now on this bottom left-hand side, we have where we're going to make a shot in a glass. You guys, this is a little bit bigger glass. If you have a 2-ounce shot glass, keep one in your kitchen because it's really easy. Now, in our recipe book, if you guys are not familiar, we have a recipe book, and we have an entire section called quick shots. What I love about the quick shots is they are little 2-ounce water. You can put water in there. You can add a little bit of that honey just for flavor and taste if you need to. And then you're just putting your essential oils, mixing it up really good, and you're shooting it back just like you would a shot of whiskey or something else. And they're healthy shots. So one for congestion is 2 drops of lemon, 2 drops of lavender, 2 drops of tea tree, and 1 drop of supermint. Mix it up really good and shoot it back. The next one we have for a headache. So how many of you guys have experienced, your head feeling pressure coming like you've got a crown on or something? When you are dealing with anything with your sinuses or your nose, ears, teeth, can all have that same effect. So for a headache, 2 drops of frankincense and 1 drop of peppermint. Now, you guys, we have one for immunity, and I just want to say that when I'm doing all the studying about essential oils and what I've used and what's worked and, all the different things, is there can be oils that work better for you than work for other people. And so don't feel like, gosh, if somebody says, for this immune boost, we're going to do 2 drops of frankincense, 2 drops of tangerine, 1 drop of oregano, and 1 drop of thyme. Okay, that is going to be a powerful, powerful shot. And so get ready. And you can also take those same oils, and any ones that I have listed off tonight so far, you can always put them in a gel cap, which is the person on the right hand side bottom. You know, she's taking those oils, she's putting them into a veggie cap, and it's just like the same amount. You close it up and you take it and you swallow it. Now, if you have a sensitive stomach, a great tip here is to add like olive oil, castor oil, well, maybe not castor oil, olive oil, fractionated coconut oil, some kind of healthy oil to it, which will help coat it into your stomach so you don't have that big effect. Thyme, you guys, thyme oil is like a hidden treasure when it comes to anything respiratory, anything that deals with your throat. When it gets really sore and white pussy pockets show up, thyme oil is one of the most effective essential oils for that. But it is a hot oil, so you guys always reach out for help. Okay, so one more seasonal relief essential oil shot is 2 drops lemon, 2 drops lavender, 2 drops peppermint. If you're really struggling and you need that, the big guns, so you can see down here when nothing else works, I've got lemongrass. Oh, I'm supposed to have cilantro, not coriander, and purify. So you can add a drop or two of each one of those to that same shot, and it really is one of those things. So when I'm having a flare-up, I will start with lemon, lavender, and peppermint. I'll bite a capsule, I'll put the drop right under my tongue, and I'll give it about 20 minutes. If I'm still sneezing or my nose is still running, then I go, what else can I do? What else do I need to add? And so I might do that lemon, lavender, and peppermint twice and give myself a little bit of time. And then if those aren't working, then I'm going straight to the lemongrass, purify, and cilantro. And it's going underneath my tongue. I'm holding it there for a second or two. And you guys, why we do that is because it's going instantly into our bloodstream and going to work for us. And then I'm swallowing it. And then usually I'm like, taking a big glass of water or something, because it can be a little bit intense. But I can tell you that I want something that's working more than I don't care what it tastes like. I have zero tolerance when somebody's like, oh, it doesn't taste good. Really? Well, then just continue with your allergies the way that they are. Don't complain. Okay, I get a little snotty. Anyway, all right, so here we go. So the next one is the steam room. Okay, or steam. There's a really great benefit because when we are all stuffed up and we're sneezing and we're coughing, and some of these oils, like lavender's a natural antihistamine, and that can dry things out. So we want to make sure that we're adding the moisture. And the reason that we love tea tree, purify, and abode is because they fight off any kind of mold, mildew, or fungus. And a lot of times, you guys, our bodies, like I was talking to a gal a week ago, and she's going, oh yeah, no, our house is full of mold, and I'm just trying to get my daughter better. And I'm like, as long as you have a house full of mold, your daughter's not going to get better. Like, you've got to have a place where you can eliminate it from her, or, diffuse constantly. And that's what my recommendation was for her, is to diffuse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so some of those oils that would be very effective are thyme, abode, purify. You could throw On Guard into that, right? And just really steam it up. Now, when I'm in a steam shower or a steam room or something, I have other essential oils that I love. Basil, you guys, basil is probably one of those hidden essential oils that is so effective. As a matter of fact, in some cases, if lavender is not working for you on your allergies, replace it with basil. Basil has really great ability to get in there and to, it's a Chinese medicine thing. So when our body is full of wind, so think of the wind that comes in, we have to have that wind that goes out. And basil helps to calm down a runny nose. It also, so when we do that, you would apply the basil to the outside bridge of the nose. You could also make that allergy balm that I was talking about with the quick shot. Is you could do lemon, lavender, and basil, and just see how effective that is. Now, a hack here would be past tense. You guys, you've heard me before if you've been with us for very long, that when I get a bug bite or a sting or a skin irritation that is swelling, I go to past tense, especially when I'm traveling, because it has cilantro, it has lavender, it has basil, it has all these essential oils that are very, very effective for helping us. Okay, so there's also a couple of kit oils here. So if you have a little one who is, congested or stuffy or whatever, I love Tamer. I love Tamer because it's got those mints in it. It's got different essential oils that are calmer for children, but very effective in what they do. It also is perfectly diluted. So you could take this Tamer, you could roll it all over the baby's chest. And anytime we're doing chest, go front and back. And then you could get in a nice hot shower and just hold the baby, You could put all of these oils, you could drip them in the corner of the shower, and when the steam hits it, it's going to put the scent up into there, so you're going to get the benefit. And then we also have Rescuer, because Rescuer, if you look at the ingredients in each one of those, they're very, very similar to some of our oils like Breathe that are so good for us. Okay, and then I just want to mention the Dawn diffuser. You guys, if you don't have a Dawn diffuser, you may or may not need to use it very often, but when you need it, you're so grateful and thankful that you have it, because it's not only diffusing the essential oil out into the air. So what happens when we diffuse, it hits the surfaces, it cleanses the air that is in the area. So if the windows have been open and you've got all that pollen that's in there, or maybe you've got a dog that's been, I don't know, when you give your dog a bath and they shake all over and, they just have that smell and all this stuff, it's in the air. So diffusing is a way for us to clean the air and clean the surfaces. Again, Abode is a super fantastic essential oil. It is made for our homes. But when you read the ingredients on it, this one's not meant to take internal, but it's meant to use in our surrounding areas. Very, very good. I love the Dawn diffuser. It just goes and goes and goes. Okay, I couldn't go to the end without talking about our vapor rub. You guys, the vapor rub is amazing. You look at the oils that are in here. So we've got Breathe, which Breathe, is one of the best ones for opening up our airways. I didn't have AirX on here. I probably should have. I could have probably added another 20 oils, right, to this presentation, but we're limited on our time. But what I love about AirX is it's meant to take internally. It's got Litsia and different things in it that opens from the inside out. Then you've got Breathe, and you put them together. It was one of our favorite oil blends when we had to cover our faces with masks, because it cleans the area that it's in and helps to open up the airway so we can breathe more freely. Eucalyptus is the king of opening airways. It works on our bronchiola area. It also helps with our lungs, our sinuses. It's great for any kind of bacteria. So think neck, chest, for support. And then rosemary. Rosemary helps to stimulate and supports our respiratory health. And then, of course, I've got the rest of this. You guys, if you have not made this vapor rub, I highly recommend it. Make a big batch, put it in little containers, repurpose bottles, whatever it is you need to do. I love it because it's safe enough that you can eat. Look at the ingredients. You can eat it. We put that on little babies, and if they get it in their mouth or whatever, it doesn't matter. Plus, we know what's going on our bodies is going into our bodies. So if we're using over-the-counter products that are filled with plastics and chemicals and, synthetic things, it's only making things worse. It's not making anything better. Back to my story when I started, is everything that was recommended for me to use was not to help. It was just to mask it. Not one thing was meant to support it in having it go away. Okay. Oh gosh, this just makes me sad looking at this little picture. You guys, anytime stuff is going on in our nose or, our respiratory system, it usually affects the ears at some point. So littles especially, and older people. I have people all the time come in and go, gosh, I've got this thing going on with my ear. And I want to remind you guys, we never put essential oils directly into the ear. We can go around the outside of the ear. So this is when you would just put it on your fingertip. And sometimes I'll take, drops of tea tree, lemon, and basil is my favorite for opening up an ear. If it feels like you're underwater or you can't hear very good, and I'll mix it up in the palm of my hand, and then I'll just rub it around the outside area of the ear, and I'll do both ears. And why I love the lemon is because if there's a wax buildup, it helps to break it down. Now on the right hand side are other oils that you can use in addition to, or you can use them one at a time and see what works best for you or whatever the symptom is that's going on. If a child is teething, or maybe you've got a teenager with braces and they just got them tightened, or maybe you've got a tooth infection or something, all of those things can affect our ears. So remember, reach for these first, put them around the outside edge. What I love about all of the things that I've talked about tonight is you can't overdo it. I'm going to say you start with less, and if you've got a child who's going through something, you heard me say with my allergies and my stuff, I would use it, and I would wait 20 minutes, and I would use it again. If that didn't work, then I would try something else, and I just keep working at those things until I find the perfect solution. You don't need to do 10 or 15 drops of something at once. It's not going to give you any better of effect. Okay. If you have questions about this, make sure you reach out to the person who invited you here tonight. Okay. So this was really fun. So when we were at this, what are we calling it? doTERRA Uncensored event, one of the hacks for allergies was recharge. Because we need to support and have balanced electrolytes, it helps to our cells to be enhanced and hydrated, and it gives us all over vitality. Plus, if you're using a lot of antihistamines, so maybe you're going, oh, I'm not even going to use any of these oils, forget it. I've got these over-the-counter pills and they seem to be working just fine. Or I've got this spray that I'm going to shove up my nose, and all these things. But hydration, you guys, is so, so important. And so this one is really great. It has 75 deep ocean minerals. It has antioxidants. It's gluten-free. It's GMO-free. There's no artificial ingredients at all. So with confidence, you can use it. You can have littles use it. I drink 2 of these a day, one in the morning and one every single night. I've got one in my my water bottle right now because I love it, and I'm adding different essential oils. Again, if you have like the lemon lime, you could add a couple of drops of lavender to it, if you've got that itchy throat and all that stuff going on, and just customize it to what you need. Okay, so now we're going to just talk real quick about the gut health. What was going on with my symptoms had 100% to do with my emotions that I wasn't releasing and letting go of, and I was just storing them. And the other part was my gut was unhealthy. You guys, these are my 2 favorite things to support a gut issue. Now, GX Assist is that it's a capsule that is encapsulated, and it's made to go down past your stomach and into your lower GI. You can see it's got oregano, thyme, tea tree, lemongrass, lemon, and peppermint. Most of those we talked about tonight. In being able to support our gut and clean it out is going to make it so that our entire body works better. So once we clean it out, then I want you guys to look over at the PB Restore. This is what helps get our biome back into good health. What goes out, we need to refresh it and have it be something that is super, super clean. Now, so much of our body, you guys, is just stuffed up. I'm going to just throw in my analogy for a car right now. If you have your car and you're not doing anything but adding more oil to it every 15,000 miles or whatever, it's still gunky up. And the oil is going to keep working, but not the way that it should. That's why we want the GX Assist. It's going to go deeper. It's going to get rid of that stuff. And then we're going to put our fresh, clean oil, our PB Restore, back into our gut so that it can have those micronutrients and be able to have a, healthy immunity, healthy inflammatory response, and really supports our gut flora. Now, things that you want to avoid during allergy season as far as foods and things. Okay, caffeine. I know, don't shoot the messenger. Caffeine, it doesn't matter if it's in a pop or in a coffee or whatever, it's going to enhance your symptoms. Beer, it's hops, it's fermented. It has a really bad effect on our gut, which is going to also have an effect on our allergies. But probably the worst thing is dairy. And the reason that dairy is so bad is because it's over processed, which kills all of the natural enzymes, which means our body doesn't have the ability to break things down. Now, you could add Terrazyme. I can see Luke is in the other side of the car, and I can see you smiling at him, so I know that he's going, what? It's like add Terrazyme to your diet, to your daily routine, and that's going to help have natural enzymes that are going to break those things down. So if you know somebody who is lactose intolerant, who is gassy, you guys, Terrazyme is your answer for that. And so really what happens is it creates a mucus in our body that our body can't get rid of. And our goal, and we talked about essential oils that are good for breaking down mucus and different things. And so we've got you covered, you guys. You just got to use the things that you've got and be consistent, which I think I might have left that screen out. So I'm going to just say right now, here is, if you're new here with us, there are some really great opportunities for us to get a free product every month. This month, in one day, if you're watching the replay, we're the month of April, and people are getting a free 5 ml bottle of lavender. Perfect timing for giving our body what it needs. And if you want more information on this and all of our other products that we have, make sure you reach out to the person who invited you here. They will guide you. They will also help you get your products at the very best price and below wholesale. And who doesn't want below wholesale? Me, I definitely do. Oh, here we go. Helpful, useful tips. You guys, anytime you're doing any of this stuff, consistency is key. You can't use it once a day and think it's going to last you for a week. It's like taking a shower once a day. It's not going to last you for very long, or people are going to start complaining. Same thing with your body. The more consistent you are with it, the better it's going to show up for you. Develop a routine. If you know that you're going to wake up in the middle of the night with sneezes and, different things, take the product before you go to bed at night. When you get up in the morning, you might take it again to prevent it from happening and getting out of control. Less, more often. Begin with your health goal in mind. So really, you guys, what is it that you want to achieve? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired and having these things that aren't working, that are just Band-Aids? Or are you ready to go in and really be consistent and try something that's going to be beneficial to your body, that your body's going to look at and go, oh, hey, you're all natural. Come on in and let's do this together. Discover your resources. So you heard me mention our recipe book. We have so many really great recipes in here. I also have referred to this Modern Essentials book. We have great resource books, you guys. If I look up in here under allergies, what it says for oils is tea tree, lavender, lemon, peppermint, Roman chamomile, patchouli, blue tansy, eucalyptus, and Tri-E soft gels, breathe drops, and then it lists it out. So if you have hay fever, if you have coughing, if you have allergies to animals, it recommends different things for all the things. You guys have resources at your fingertips. We also have Good Vibes, which you can go into that search bar and just put whatever you want in there. Gosh, now we've got years and years of content and resources. And then, of course, if you're not buying them at the best price, make sure you reach out to somebody, because nobody that I know buys them at retail. That's just silly. Okay, here is a QR code for our Essential Recipe Volume 2 book. It's one that I reach for all the time. It literally sits on the counter at my house and here at work because I reach for it. And even though there's a lot of recipes that I just naturally know, and I'm sure you guys are going, oh, I know what that is, but it has recipes that are kind of outside the box. It gives you those other things that you could be using where you could get even a better effect. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stop the share. And I just want to invite anybody, if anybody has any questions, testimonials, or recipes that I didn't mention. I know there's probably a plethora of them, but feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself and you can ask now. Okay, Sarah.
Okay, mine is on another gal. I have a feeder and she was amazing. So her son was having really bad allergies with dairy, with all of these things, and just was inflamed constantly. And I suggested Terrazyme, and she's like, well, she's had no Terra forever. And she said, I just don't think it'll work. So they did other things, and finally I said, I need you to try Terrazyme. Please just open a capsule up every single morning when he has his yogurt, no milk, and once you start doing that. And you guys, he can have dairy. He's had dairy every single day for like the last 6 months because of Terrazyme, and he takes it 3 times a day. And she said, Sarah, I'm blown away. He's living an absolutely normal life again. So it's super exciting.
And as a mom, that's got to be super rewarding, because I remember when my son came home, we had a lot of sinus infections. And we had done the scraping of the sinuses, and we'd done all these things. I'm a good mom. So at the time, I didn't know about essential oils, and I was taking my son to the doctor over and over and over, and they were giving him all these different prescriptions. Come to find out, one of those prescriptions, he lost 70% of his hearing from as a side effect. The other really cool thing is we had a pipe break outside at the street of our house, and we discovered that the people we bought our house from had painted and put wallpaper over mold in the wall where he was sleeping. So all of these things, right? And here, there's nothing we could have done to prevent that because we didn't know what the problem was. But it was a life-altering experience, So when we find things that are natural, it's so amazing. Like, it's so awesome being able to recommend to little kids, right, Sarah, to a mom who's going something like Terrazyme. Who would have ever thought that that would be a great solution for a little one? So good job on coaching him through that. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Or one other thing I was going to mention tonight is, so I have a really good friend whose son has really horrible allergies, and he's going, okay, what can I do? And he tries a little, and I think he's probably like most people when they're going, I'll try it, but I'm not going to be consistent, and I forgot, and it's just so much easier to grab that bottle of whatever from the counter, and then he's going, but they don't work, like they just don't work. Well, one of the things that I recommended to her was to take an old bottle and repurpose it and put some of those allergy oils in it. So those bigger guns like lemon, lavender, peppermint, lemongrass, cilantro, and purify, and put them all into this bottle. And then he could just take a dropper of that blend and carry it with him, put it in his desk. If you're making capsules, you guys, I'm going to warn you that they're meant to break down. And so I did this. I made some allergy blend capsules and had them in my room, went to get one out, and it was a liquid mess because it had broke down everything. You can pre-make capsules if you put them in the freezer. So as soon as you make them, put them in the freezer, put them in a little baggie, label the baggie so you know what's in there. I have a lot of my friends, you guys, now will take that repurposed bottle, they put the orifice back in, and then they just carry a little baggie of gel caps. And then when they need to make one, they just, put, if it's like 2 drops of each one, then they put 6 drops in there, close it up and take it. And it's really easy. For this gentleman, I was recommending that she just take a dropper and put, like 3 drops of that blend under his tongue as needed. So if he's at work, if he knows he's having allergy season, he might. So what I have found is when I'm having these big flare ups, you guys, and they're intense, I'll start with my oils and I'll wait like that 20 minutes and then I'll try them again. I'll try another one and I'll wait 20 minutes. Sometimes I am like 1 hour of every 20 minutes doing something. But when I'm done, like when the symptoms are gone, they're gone for good. Like I'm good for the rest of the day and sometimes the next day. But I've got to build that up. Think of like I'm building a foundation and I'm helping to support whatever level I need to get the best result. And a lot of times that's why I wait like the 20 minutes because I'm not going to just take 30 drops of an essential oil and put it under my tongue and think I'm going to get a result. Your body doesn't work that way. So, all right, you guys, anybody else have anything or is that it?
Great class. We were just gonna talking because we are driving with a livestock trailer, but we were just talking about how we do freeze a lot of loads because he leaves so early. So we freeze a ton of the veggie capsules and it works. So we make them and then we throw them in the freezer and like it's just a process and it's totally worth it. It really is.
Yeah. I love easy. And that's why I also love that, I have multiple bottles of different oils around my house. On my kitchen counter, I have a box that has the oils I cook with, the oils for allergies, the ones for the symptoms like the stomach ache, the headaches, those types of things right there where we need them. Because if it's not easy, we're not going to use it. If we have it all in a drawer or a box somewhere, we're not going to be hunting them and getting them out. So the better we can prepare for ourselves, the better off we're going to be. You guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next Tuesday, we're going to start an entire series on cleaning our house, cleaning our mindsets, all kinds of stuff. So the month of April is a great time to shed the old and make room for the new. All right, you guys, we'll see you then. Bye.